Wassail Beautiful People. So, there's been a bit of a delay since I went to Chichén Itzá. Chichén Itzá. It's hard to say, but you put the accent on the final syllable. I've been in a very weird energetic bubble of not being able to explore the past or the future somehow, and being told to just live in the now. The problem with the now is full of humid water sorcery. But this morning that broke. I woke up at about 4:35 a.m. There was a throbbing noise. It lasted for about 2 hours. It was vibrating through the room. And then at about 7:30 in the morning, the water sorcery happened, and somehow water started to gush down on the outside over my bedroom and all down onto the terrace, and I had to call the owner of the house to get this thing fixed. So all the water pumps have been turned off, so now I've got no water. So you're lucky it's across the screen, because I was getting ready for a shower and everything. So I did a reading, a personal reading. That's something I do quite often, not for me as such, but sometimes when I can't connect with the energies of something, I waited until the full moon had been, and I think I waited until I was in the void of the full moon. Yes, that's right. So the full moon came and I sat down as the void appeared, and I was able to pull a reading. And what I do is I lay the cards down and I just record an audio track. So I've laid all the cards down, and what I thought I would do was put the audio track on so that you can see what came through rather than me trying to read it again, because there's something about the way in which the cards reveal themselves the first time that has a channeled energy that we can tune back into, but I feel I want to share this with you. So let's just go into that. So here is, I called it Chichén Itzá and the Fall from Space. So, Chichén Itzá, Chichén Itzá, Chichén Itzá, Chichén Itzá. There's one card straight away. Wind 63. Chichén Itzá, what do you want to tell me about the purpose of me being there? What do I need to know? What do I need to learn? What's the journey of Chichén Itzá? 2 more cards. The mystical shaman and the moon again. The moon. Blow with time, blow with the cycles. 6, 3, 3, 8, 3, 7. You see, 3, 8, 3, 7 is going backwards in time. Why am I going backwards in time? Why are we going backwards in time? Why are we going backwards in time? Why are we going backwards in time, please? Okay, I don't think these cards want to talk anymore. Why are we going backwards in time? There's a big splattering of cards that have come out, fallen as a block. And I want to say that there's weight, there's a heaviness to this energy. It's tree of life. It's the earth, it's source, it's shedding of the skin, it's the serpent, and it's the circle. It's something to do with going backwards in time through the shamanic journey of the Yggdrasil tree to the planet. It's like I've got to go and witness time previously, time that's been shed, time that's died, time that's gone, and I want to say to leave a code. Really interesting. Let's get the runes out. So, it's like it's tuning into the earth frequency that was once. Tuning into the earth frequency that was once. That blank card's turned up again. It's slightly larger than my cards. But it represents writing a new chapter. So, I'm going to put the blank rune there. Talk to me, please. Help me to understand. My brain's been in a fog all day. Right, onwardness, the present. It's like saying that the present hasn't yet been written. That's really fascinating. The present hasn't been written. What present? My present? What present? My present? What present? The present. The present is blank. Is it like saying that there's no journey forwards at the moment? Now, a whole load of cards are bounced over, but I'm not going to take them. I need simple, clear messages. So I want simple, clear messages, and then a cascade of cards falls. So I've got fruit bearing, apple bearer, flurser and calc. Apple bearer, flurser and calc. And the message that I'm immediately hearing from those cards is that at first the fruit was bare, there was fruit bearing, there was abundance, there was joy, and then first blood came. And they're putting the word sacrifice, but it's not about a sacrifice of choice. It's like some kind of declaration of war, or blood was shed on the stones. You see, that's the interesting thing now, it's coming through. So the power of place had a sacredness, and at the point at which first blood was shed, it was anchored with calc into the mortar, and that's what killed the sacred energy. We talk all the time about how blood should flow, and blood flowed, but that wasn't the sacred space. So we've got another pile of cards that begins with Swelchness, the past. It brought chaos to the timeline that was the past. That first drop of blood shed, for whatever reason, I don't know the reason, and that's followed by being unbound from the sacred. It unbound the people from the sacredness of the space. Swelchness, Wendhorn and Eo. It unbound them from their sacredness, their Andean cross energy. The first blood is a disruptor. And then we have Condor, cosmic light became an ulcer. So spiritual practice became an ulcer. That's really, really fascinating. I'm just moving the cards around. I need to look at the rune energies. You see, the energies blank going to onwardness is a very clear emerging of the present. But the present was empty at that point. And then you have fruit-bearing, ephemeera, flirsa, and cow. There is an energy of inevitability about the drawing of the runes, but it was bending, twisting, pouring, creating. Yeah, you see, they're talking to me because of flirsa. It's the circle is representing the astronomy temple. It's really interesting, the astronomy temple. And then the mortar being split into two timelines, being divided. There's that cross. The what bore fruit no longer bore fruit. It bore pain. It bore ulcer. So let's just put some tarot down to end this reading, and we'll move on to another aspect. So we have an upside down card on the past, King of Wands. It's like the sacrifice. It was a sacrifice for someone in charge. Being unbound, it brought fire, it brought Ace of Wands, and then the sacral was cut away. So there was a sense of the community feeling unbound from the sacred, feeling renewed by the freedom at first, a disconnect. One card upside down, there was no valor. Seven of Wands. They could no longer make. So they're saying to me they could no longer make connection to source without plant medicine. Somehow they managed it before. You see, I've got the Magician under ephemeera. It was being in a flow, being in a sacred flow, being in the nowness of life. And then two more cards. It's really strange how we've got under first blood, heartache, heart, Three of Swords, and then we have the Five of Wands, which matches the image of the mortar being anchored. Just one card for the lack of the present. Well, apparently not one card. Three. Oh, five. It's the Eight of Wands, Six of Pentacles. So very quickly the flow ran towards, is running towards newness. I don't know. This has got something loopy and soupy with time. And then we've got the Four, the Emperor, and the Sun. I feel like they turned their back on the Sun. They turned their back on what they originally worshipped, is what they mean. They turned their back on their original life force. It was a king, the fallen king. When you raise one person above all others, it creates an ungodly distortion. And that brought around the fading of the energy. I still don't know how, what I'm supposed to do to fix something like that. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But it's a story, it's a tale of what happened, and that in itself is interesting. Thank you, Spirit. So, I hope you can hear that, because when I'm sitting in my space, I tend to talk a lot lower, and in this room, that was a little bit muffled. But hopefully you could hear it. And now I feel like we need to continue the story. But I don't know where we're going with it. So I need to make a bit more space because the cards that are out, I want to leave them out in case we need to reference back to them. We just need a bit more space. So I kind of want to ask, first of all, what does that mean to us now, all of us? Because this story's coming up because it has something to do with living in the now. You know, it could be that it's a lesson of change. Look, the Mayans, they were a period of 3,000 years, and a lot of what we know about them is from the Spanish conquistadors, and one guy in particular who was a bit of a weird and odd case. I've forgotten his name temporarily, but that's not important. But he came over with such conviction, and he did terrible things, and I'm hoping to go on my birthday next Friday to Mayapan, because Mayapan is another city. It was the last of the great Mayan cities to act as a kind of capital. And my understanding is that there you can actually touch some of the stones and walk on some of the sacred areas so that I can better connect. Because the energy of Chichén Itzá, which I want to just remind you that Itza is water sorcery. It means on the edge of the water, and there's a cenote there, an underground water, and it's water sorcery. It's bringing this energy forward. And Mayapan, I mean, just the fact that it has the name Maya in it suggests that it was part of their sort of dominant city, but it was actually a city where people lived. So next Friday, hopefully, I get to go there. I just need to try and organise it, because they're really, seriously here, it's very difficult to get places because they're in the jungle. These people lived in isolation. So you have to kind of find somebody who's a tour guide who will drive you there, because I'm not hiring a car and driving Mexican roads, I'm sorry. So, what can we add to this story here and now? What can we add to this story here and now? What would you like to add to this story here and now? It feels like it's a story about teaching us that life runs in cycles. There's something, I'm picking up this energy that the Mayans lived a simple life originally. Let's not necessarily call them Mayans at that point. Let's just call them indigenous people in the area. And they lived to survive, you know. Maybe they planted food, maybe they were static, maybe they were nomadic. That, again, I'm not sure, but it feels like it's around a period of sort of like 17,000 years ago was when humans first kind of settled down and started to farm. But that was in Turkey, it wasn't here. So they may have been more nomadic still. My question is, having driven to Chichén Itzá and also from Cancun to Mérida, it's just a 4-hour journey of pure jungle, and I can't imagine how you move around. But then, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years ago, maybe there were great open plains in areas before it became jungle. It's a long period of time, and nature's not slow at moving into a place. So it feels somehow like the people lived in the now. I do think the message is about being in the present, because they've been keeping me in the present and not able to witness the past and the future for a few days, and telling me I have to open my space in the now, stitching in the now, to create a way to draw the threads back together, to weave together the threads of the past, present and future, but to focus only on the present, the now. Okay, so that's Verzandi, the gatekeeper. It's very much the energy of Judgment card. And then somehow somebody elevated themselves into the position of being a false emperor, being in control, setting down rules. It's almost like they were in 13 frequency and then 12 frequency was brought upon them. Now, in many ways, I keep sensing this connection to the bearded man, someone who took on the mantle and somehow, I feel, astrally projected with a desire to teach them, these people, because they were so sacred, they had really powerful dragon lines, song lines, energy lines, and their connection to source was incredible. You know, they were mystical in their own way, and they were deeply esoteric with the moon. Somehow, this person used an energy mantle to tune in and to try and teach them other ways. It's interesting because I've been looking at the astrology a lot, and the astrology is also very confused. They have different patterns, some that are shorter, some that are longer, some that use different symbols. There's a kind of muddling between the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Toltecs, some references to the Olmecs. There's so many different frequencies that kind of the Mayan notion covers the idea of all the different indigenous tribes that existed. But when this priest came along and supposedly rescued them, there is a kind of a sense, the story behind him is that he went in and he saw 300 people about to sacrifice a child, and he stopped them just with a Bible. And there's something about that feels a little bit weird, because why would 300 people suddenly go, oh yeah, do you know what, we shouldn't be doing that? And then they supposedly said to him, won't you stay and teach us everything? But this energy of the bearded man is a long time before that. And that's why we don't have this information, because this guy, this priest, he was supposedly very interested in all of their indigenous beliefs, and he gathered together their books, tried to learn their language, and then one day, in an act of what he believed was God's will, he burned all the books. And there's only about 4 which are called the Mayan codices, although they're not really codices, that survive. And he wrote a book because he set up a really nasty inquisition, a kind of illegal inquisition, and he was torturing the indigenous people. He was hanging them by their arms, he was hanging weights off their feet, and whipping them to confess their serpent worship, I guess. And then he was sent back to Italy, I believe, or Spain, I can't remember. I haven't dealt properly in remembering all this yet. And there he wrote a book about their lives, and so it's only his real description that gives scholars any idea of what the Mayans did. I can hear a lovely whistle. It's like a Mayan spirit. That's beautiful. I hope you can hear that. So yeah, that's completely thrown me. That was so beautiful. And then he was let off, and then he was sent back to be the Bishop of Yucatan, and he took over the whole place. Anyway, I feel like the Mayan spirit ancestors are returning. There's something, I know it's about me toning the song lines again, returning frequencies, but there's also something about me joining up places that I visit. So, come on. I've been talking far too long now. Let's have some stories from spirit. That was interesting. So as one card came, one's left on the table and the other one fell over a cliff edge. It hit the table and spun out of control. Actually, it's two. Yeah, look. We need to take away the illusions. We need to take away the illusions that things are all right. We need to take away the illusion that somehow the people are happy. Oh, that's the point I wanted to make. When he went in and supposedly helped these 300 people to see the error of their ways, the energy that immediately came through and spoke inside my head was of how these people, because they didn't want to live under the ulcer of a false emperor anymore. So actually what he was offering them in his Catholicism seemed preferable to what they'd been living under compared to what their lives had been before there were any gods or emperors, when they just lived off the land, like the Neolithic people. Oh, you see, and that's interesting, because I was in that Neolithic part of France on my last birthday. So, what's here is the trap, the court, the static energy that requires this code to unlock, to unbind, to bring new energy back to the frequency of the world. Like, I'm not trying to say I go and I sing and somehow magically everything changes for indigenous people everywhere. I'm not God. But it's about me offering my intentions to the earth to understand the temples better. I mean, look, we can all look at these temples and we can marvel at them. We can say, what an amazing, wonderful, sacred culture existed there, but somehow that false emperor and that first sacrifice of whatever kind it was, it could have even been an animal at first to appease the gods, but there's a sense that this heartache and strife took over, stole the sacredness. It cut the people away from the energy that they were used to, and it created this trap. And every time something comes along to suggest that the trap will open, it doesn't. But there's something about the shifting energies cosmically right now that we're all playing a part in. We're all in some way now becoming a mystical shaman to work with timelines, time cycles, moon cycles, song lines. We're all here to help shed old energies. So we have the arrow and the smoky mirror falling in the middle world here. Is there anything else that these cards would like to offer? Energies are gathering for change. Energies are growing for change. This is going back to a return to Epple-bearer. It's just a natural cycle. And it's coming quicker than you imagine. There's something, I do get this energy of something so much bigger than humanity taking place to awaken humanity. Because we can all talk about people waking up, but people on the whole haven't been waking up that well. Or when people have, they've woken up too soon, and then they sort of get caught in this energy of, I had a spiritual awakening and nothing much has happened since. Because it can't. Oh, you see, now that's interesting. We've got Condal, the weird cosmic energy, the light, the ulcer. What's coming? The phosphorus. See, I want to say the sulfur as well for some reason. But the individual, the valor being returned. It's like the ulcer that was there, the burn, the discomfort, which was that way up, is now being transformed by the arrival of the individual's connection to source, to light up phosphorus from within, from the sacral source energy, returning to everyone. So candle and condor. Rob did a reading on those two that might be worth having a look at, because he will have picked up energies about this without knowing way back. I'll try and remember to put a link in. So, what else do we have here? Purging. Things are being purged. Dej. So they're drawing me to this flow. The flow that was passed through the eye of the needle with the first blood, and then it emerged, and I want to say again, as a different kind of flow, but not necessarily a flow that was as spiritual as the flow that's coming. So now this flow is being moved to the past, and it's being woven through the eye of the needle to come back out as a new cycle. But I want to say it's coming faster than you imagine. It's surging. We have Perth, 2414, 2414, 2414, 6, 10, 11. We've got 11 again here. This is about an earth purge. This is the earth itself purging something. Purging energies, was energy, the rising of sap, magma. I know I keep going on about it, but look, there is this, we've got the two volcanoes now. The earth is definitely having that sort of Uranian shaking of the old fixed earth frequency to bring about a new fixed earth frequency. We're all, we're all in this, we're all experiencing it. And we have hell. She is ever present. Because hell is this space that you go into, the underworld, the darkness, and from within the darkness she can return you to the light. She's like Black Moon Lilith. She's this energy of being misunderstood. So let's have then some Odin cards on this. Odin, 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 and the 9 realms. I knew she just wants to make her presence very known at the base of the Yggdrasil tree. So, hell, double hell. Look, hell, as we call hell, is named after Hel, the goddess. And she was misunderstood. I say this every single time. She is the one who preserves the truth of the sacred light. When Baldur is killed by his brother Hod through the trickery of Loki, because in Loki's minds the gods needed punishing, because in many ways they're as false as this emperor, because they were laying down rules. And she returns Baldur to the light. So, somewhere we've got, I thought I had 2 cards that came. I think I might have just knocked one over. But anyway, we have, oh look, here they come, Rob, the Valkyrie. It's like the Valkyrie are returning. The Valkyrie are the spirits, they're kind of the daughters of the Norn. They're from a primordial place, and they tend to weave, they fortune tell using the guts of dead people, the entrails. They take the stomach and they turn it into a tapestry, weaving with offal, I guess. So, we need a bit more. So what else would you like to say, Helen the Valkyrie? I mean, I want to say that the energy that's coming from this is almost blinding. It's so bright and shiny and renewed. but there is something spilling of the guts about it. And here's Loki. You know, he who causes change, the shapeshifter, the wronged giant. This is all about people who have been wronged, but humanity has been wronged. And yet at the same time they're saying to me, humanity hasn't been wronged, humanity went through a cycle. We go through these cycles all the time where it's 12 frequency and it's 13 frequency, and then it moves to 12. So, I need another card, but what I'm hearing in my head is this purging, is the purging of the patriarchy in favour of the matriarchy, but that's not quite as, it's not quite as simple as that. Because as these cards rotate, at one point as these cycles rotate, they're all in alignment. So the patriarchy and the matriarchy are a balanced frequency, and that comes before the matriarchy fully rises. It's a cycle. It's, oh, there we go. It's a cycle. This is air energy. It's, oh, look, I forgot to say, look, I've got the sword of truth and the two serpents, the feathered serpent frequency, and it says, changes now. It really is. Changes now. Like, that card feels like a battering. It's the birthright. I feel like I need to stop with the runes because there is a second layout of cards that I did that I want to bring to you on another day, which is all about the reflections and changes, these exact cycles that we're talking about. So I feel like we're probably drawing to a kind of closure on this. Tarot, do you want to add something? Right, so we've got three cards. One that's rooted into it's fallen into my root chakra, and it's the Ten of Swords. This is the time to cut through the old membrane. It's like the Valkyrie are reweaving the tapestry of entrails. So, there's a completion. A completion of a transformation is coming, but it's coming with the Prince of Cups. It's coming with new emotional language. And we've been having that message for a very, very long time. So I am going to put another couple of runes on, well, Odin, and then some runes. So what's this emotional birthright? What's this completion of a cycle change, breaking through, and then this emotional birthright? Oh, that's interesting. They did a little spin. So we've got one over here. It's a season change. This is Eloise. This is journeying forwards with the motion of time, the sun and the moon. There's something about this period now, I keep saying, moving towards the 4th of December, there's enormous changes coming. Yeah, look, this is interesting. It's like it's time for Asgard. The fanfare is being blown on Asgard, being returned to the womb, being returned to the space before it was born, the space before first blood, unanchoring itself, withdrawing so that we move into Vanahamir 13 frequency. So two more, and I feel like that needs a response. So, this is man, Madir. This is the collective. This is me, myself, beingness, but it's also the individual, the condor becoming the candle, but without the ulcer. This becoming a single frequency, a bound rune, where the cosmos and the individual surge together. And it comes with, I've lost the card now, where's it gone? It comes with the Volva. It's time for a new kind of magic. Volva is the magic, Sedir, Galdir, of Vanahamir. So we're coming into that frequency. Vanahamir is surging here. This is very high priestess frequency, the pear tree. Any last messages? Just 2 cards. The first one being, it's a journey. Again, it's a journey. It's a journey through time. It's a journey through space. It's a journey into reality. Oh, look. There's an energy of an incompleteness. It's underway. They're showing me how the journey is hidden inside the runes in other places. It's like the journey is inevitable. The journey always takes place. And the final card, it brings about a new seed of a new time. And we are in yellow electric seed year, remember? Earthmagian, thy, earthly power. And it's interesting because this is a really strong frequency, this earthly power. And yet it's in air epoch, not earth epoch. But the point being, you can't have earthly power in earth energy. You just have that ugly false emperor distortion of 12 frequency, endless rules that subjugate the masses. This is about a return to the power of the masses. So, that's the little reading today. I'm going to put all those cards away, and I'm just going to actually add, I'm going to do it now while we're sitting here. I just want to do a little reading that says, what can we expect now that we've entered Libra season? What can we expect now that we've entered Libra season? Because we've had a lot of energy around the frequency of Libra, bringing great transformations, balances, cosmic law. So let's just have a little glimpse, because I do need to do a new moon reading in Libra, because that's the day that Pluto comes out of retrograde. So there's a heck of a lot going on, but first Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 27th of September, making 7 or 8, depending on if you're counting Eris. So, let's just get all of these back in the deck. So I'm not really sure where we're heading with these. Let's get the Odin ones back in the deck. Beginning to build up a bit of a big sweat. Hopefully there's a plumber coming later. And hopefully, when he comes, he can fix it. Otherwise, can't flush the loo. Luckily, we have a fountain of water. Oh, water, that's what I need. Water sorcery. I honestly cannot drink enough water. My water was ice cold when I started this reading. I got it straight from the fridge, and it's already, that's how warm it is here, it's already reached room temperature in that short space of time. And I am just melting. Right, so I'm going to clear the air with some of Neptune's bells. Neptune's in retrograde. He's staying in retrograde for a little bit. Pluto comes out on the 6th, Saturn on the 12th, and Jupiter on the 18th. And Jupiter by the 29th of December will be moving back into Pisces with Neptune, and obviously Jupiter in the old 7 planets classical system is the ruler of Pisces, although in the modern system, now that we know Neptune's there, he's also the ruler. That was crushed. That was really... Let's do that again. There's a distortion. It's almost like smelting, bending. There's something not comfortable in that energy. Right, I'm gonna look for a tone for Libra. What would be a nice tone for Libra, please? What would be a nice tone for Libra, please? What would be a nice tone for Libra, please? What would be a nice tone for Libra, please? Oh, see, look, it's Mercury going retrograde. So, communication. I'm not going to say too much, but I do feel, I haven't put these away. I do feel like there's a frequency through Mercury of a communication blackout. I don't know what that means, whether it's just like during that period we can't seem to express personal thoughts, whether there's some kind of blackout that takes place globally briefly, or whether there's some kind of energy coming that causes like an over communication, but this over communication will be a distortion. There's something not right about communication in this Mercury retrograde, more than normal, because I like to think of Mercury retrograde as Mercury retrograde. So let's have a G sharp. Something in the first one that feels very much like communication being used as a kind of projectile weapon. So, mystical shaman, what do you want to say about Libra season, cosmic justice? So, right, there's one card. It came out in here, slid face down. What did we just say about a communication breakdown? There's a breakdown in communication, but there also seems to be a breakdown in the energy that feels accursed while coming forwards as a cursed energy somehow. Like a double-edged sword. Sword of justice. Interesting. Libra, this is the 14th of October, Battle of Hastings Day. Battle of Hastings, in many ways, historically, represents a point at which a 12 frequency attacks another 12 frequency, and then a few years later it's the birthing of the Magna Carta, and many laws and legal systems, justice, is based on the original documents of the Magna Carta that King John signed. So, Libra season. Oh, look, the beloved's on the bottom. What do you want to say about Libra season? The sun's coming back out. The blockages are lifting. This has got this energy of the three planets coming out of retrograde, and so it's like as Pluto on the 6th, Jupiter on the 12th, Saturn on the 12th, Jupiter on the 18th, I'll get the muddle, It's like they combine their frequency, because they are all next to each other. They're in Capricorn and Aquarius, and they were the thing that changed the mutation there. They're going to do some kind of energetic push on the sun. Starts on the 8th. Here it is, look, it's that card that was so important earlier. It's something mystical arising from the cosmos. Something we can't understand. There's an energy sense of saying that somewhere in Libra season this balancing energy needs to take place. But we'll see it, we'll know it, we'll understand it. It's coming over as both a curse and a blessing, and as a change in life force, a change in the fluidity of the planets, but somehow it will have a mystical element to it that we won't know how to express. There is a sense of, a lot of tears. So let's have some Odin, and then we'll have some runes, and then we'll have some tarot. Odin, what do you want to say about this October Libra period? It's love. It's Freya. There's something very deeply magical. There's something... Freya is very much like an energy frequency of Venus, and Venus is the ruling planet of Libra. I don't remember offhand when Venus was in Libra, but there was but she's racing, she's leading the pack at the moment. She's leaving Mars and Mercury in Libra, and they're going to pass each other again. They're going to have another conjunction. That's one of the double conjunctions that's coming. We've got Hagel, we've got volcano energy, and it's underneath the card of the curse. This blessing, this curse, a blessing and a curse, this change of energy frequency has something to do with lava flow. And then under the sun, what do we have under the sun? What do we have under the sun, please? A new cosmic beingness, and that's that energy again of the life force of the sun being influenced by Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto. There's a sense of death and rebirth. Something has to end to make space for something new. Oh, and this one's rooting into my crotch again. Ah, look, the world's being given back to us, but it feels very much like a mystically transformed world. This is Odin's brothers, William Vey. They created the earth by destroying Ymir, the hermaphrodite giant. But when I see the William Vey card, it was always an energy of the earth being returned to the people, to the masses, to the collective. So let's have some runes. We just want 4, please. Okay, so I just need to check the time because I thought the door was knocking, but it's only 11:28. The plumber's not due until 2. Hang on, that was some people coming to do some work in here, but not the plumbers. So I'm just going to very quickly give you the end of this. So look, bursting out, bursten. Love will burst out, a communication, a change will burst out for you. Underneath the curse, the volcano, we've got magma, fire, spark, but it will bring a change of frequency. It will bring a renewed thought. And then underneath the emergence of Saturn, Jupiter, working on the sun, we've got Ophalagu. We've got that energy of a new mantle being brought down, something that we can all wear cosmically to give us a sense of the protection that comes through the love of Freya. And then finally, the mystical shaman and the return of the earth, let's hold them that way, is coming with win. Ultimately, it's bliss and comfort, a life-changing path frequency. 388, I want to say at the end, which is 19, which is 10, which is a completion and a new beginning. It's beautiful energies, it really is, but there is in this Libra season something distorted and uncomfortable that almost will stump the ability to communicate properly. So I'm going to go because I need to let these people go on with their work and they'll make too much noise. So, wassail beautiful people!